help you get connected to research collaborators in Europe. So we're here to be your interlocutors, to tell you what are the opportunities for you to work with European partners, maybe to go on a research stint in Europe, what kind of funding is available for you. And we also, we're always very happy to facilitate this communication between the different research communities. We're just in the middle of the European Research and Innovation Days in ASEAN 2021. I think this is our 7th event right now. And the series runs until mid-December. So this is really a platform where we're bringing everybody together to share ideas. Our big theme this year is climate change and global health. So we're all putting our heads together, what can we do as researchers to find solutions to these huge problems? And also, how can we be better connected, especially during a pandemic? As Jenny has said, we can't, unfortunately, just travel to Switzerland so easily and then just meet Morse, but we'll have to do this virtually. But we think it is incredibly important to remain internationally minded. And this is, I think, why we've invited this extremely important panel today. So these are all people at different stages in their career and at different places around the globe to tell us a little bit, what does it mean to be international? How are they designing their career? How do they stay in touch with partners across the globe? So for me as well, have fun. I'm really excited. I've got my tea and my cookies, and I'll hand back to Jenny. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm about to grab my mug of coffee as well. But before I do that, I'd like to introduce to you again our moderator. He's going to guide the discussion. It's really, it's going to be informal. It's going to be among friends. And this guy, apart from working in the United Nations, he wears a lot of hats. What I really admire about him is that he makes time really for people like you who are interested in having a career. He's very, very generous with his advices, and that is why he is very much in demand as a mentor. So it's a pleasure to have you with us all the way from Switzerland. Morse, Flores, you have the room. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Jen. Thank you very much for asking me to join you this afternoon, for those who are in Asia. And it's a pleasure, an absolute pleasure to me as well, Susan. And to my colleagues who have joined us in this session, I would really like to welcome each one of you. And of course, to all our colleagues who have joined us from other parts of the world or within the ASEAN region, this is for you. You're in for a ride. And this morning, I would like to remind you that this is a conversation, as Jen has mentioned. And as any conversation, as we have within our families, among our friends and colleagues, there will be opportunities to share. There will be opportunities to ask questions, or even better, there will be opportunities to even provide information. And this is why this incredible initiative, from the outset, I would like to thank our organizers for providing us this space. So the first thing that I would like to do here, we have a Mentimeter. That's very good. Jen, should we go for the Mentimeter now?
Yes, if you like, yeah. Just
so you could see it from your desk. I would like to describe yourself at the moment in one word. Take note, one word, and you go to www.menti.com. You can use your iPhone, or you can use any phone you have, and then please type your code. Your code is 15349943. So this is just to break the ice, and then we'll see how it goes. Climate change immediately came in, international microbiology. Somebody's curious. Motivated. Food security, that's incredible. Drinker. Get them coming. Somebody's ready for a change or ready to change. That's important. Justice, energy. Somebody's artsy. Land use, hungry. Hungry for knowledge, hungry for food. They go both ways. Persistent, open-minded. Innovator. environment friendly, 3D printing. Wow. Energy, right? Excited right in the middle. Curious. Deforestation, experimental, sensitive. Networking, authentic, aspiring, passion, ambitious. Somebody loves tea. Me too. A researcher in the end. Adventured. And then the next word that we would like you to consider now is an international career is, then I guess you can do a quick survey here, you know? So those of you who feel like a career internationally is something that is easy, reachable, a dream. So should we start easy from strongly disagree and strongly agree? All right, that's good. Reachable, right in the middle, just keep changing. So please go ahead. Oh, I love this tool. I have never used this one before. Or is it just a dream? Most people think that it is just a dream. All right. This is a very interesting survey result in there. Now, the third one is one word to describe Europe as a career destination. One word. Dreamy, like one in the photo. Exciting. Freedom. Challenging even. Exciting. Heaven. Competent. Opportunities. Impossible. Really? Is it really impossible? You're going to be immediately it will be demystified immediately by our colleagues who have gone through Europe. Some of them are based here. Challenging. We have, yeah, inspiring, exciting. Apex. It's a privilege. It's surreal. It's multicultural. It's vast. Conventional. It's a privilege. It's a goal to someone that's important. It's historical. Europe is enterprising. LGBT friendly. It's a good life. It's conventional. I really hope that our panelists are looking at those words as well, because I would really like them to reflect on those in their own experiences. It's a ski resort. Excited. Pick. Historical. It's far-fetched. Now, this is very interesting question. If you were to choose a country in Europe to start your international career, which one would you choose? Take note, there's a difference between going on holidays and going to build your career, okay? So Switzerland, right in the middle, Germany, the Netherlands, Finland, Italy has just come, France, Spain, UK, Denmark. Oh, what's up? It is very specific. London, why not? Poland. Oh, wow. Switzerland, ETH. Well done. This guy have done, his own research already. Belgium, Sweden. Nobody's, oh, I see Spain, okay. Now, what would you like to hear from our panel, basically? What would you like to hear from Dr. Nuwong Chollacoop, Irdanto Saputra Lase, Dr. JIBBY, and Dr. Chai. So, everything, experience, open position, somebody is ready to come. How to get to Europe? First, to study. Can't build a career without studying first, that's for sure. And the question here, is it hard? practical tips. How to tap into international research or grant application. That's very linked to our discussion today. Where do you even start? Tips and advice, that's the main theme of our discussion. Somebody is eyeing for a PhD position, so take note of that. How's your journey, basically? Challenges? What are the perks, if there's any? And of course, we're talking about career in the international community. It requires a lot of skill, hardcore skill, and how to be a researcher in Europe. What are the ways, your pathways to success? Do you have any case studies to share? How about languages? Is it important? When I go to France, do you need to speak French? Comment ça va la vie en France, mes amis? ¿Y qué tal la gente que quieres estudiar en España? ¿No? What does it take to get there? Do you have any guidelines? Do we? How about writing a grant? How's that for you guys? And I like this question. This is very Filipino. How to be you, Paul? Potential, any barriers? Linguistically, childcare, that's very important. Like that. Family. How to start a career in research? Are there any challenges? What other struggles do you have to go through? That's what I said, not all gold that glitters. Experience on how to, there you go. Wow. I really like that tool. And it's great that we started our discussion on how to build a research career in the international community by doing a survey. Because I think most of us, I just recently accepted a teaching position to one of our universities in the Philippines, and many of my students have joined us actually, and I have asked them a bit of how did they end up taking the course, and most of them have ended up in that course by accident. So, and in this session, I would like to start by asking our four panelists to tell us a bit of themselves. I have read your CVs, basically, your short bios, but I would really like to know the person behind those names and those accolades. So I would like to start with Dr. JIBBY. I really like your name. Tell us a bit of yourself that most people are not aware of, in addition to what you have already achieved as a researcher. Personality behind Dr. JIBBY.
So maybe I have a video that could probably describe my personality well, but I mean,
yeah, why not? That's not a video.
No. You can find this on YouTube. Actually, because yeah, it's called "Pigs Don't Cry." It's a rap video.
Cool. Would you like to put that on the chat later on?
Oh, no problem. It's actually, I started out with the Euraxis Science Slam. And because Science Slam is to present science in a fun way to a public audience. So I chose to do a rap video. And because our research is, at that time, was on the developing a vaccine for PEDV, which is a coronavirus for pigs. So I decided to make a rap video. So it's me, I'm a scientist who's also
a scientist and a rapper.
And a rapper, and just and something fun, a fun researcher, yes.
Yeah, research has to be fun. So well done for that. Irdanto, Saputra, Lase, welcome in this panel. Tell us a bit of yourself.
Very good question. Outside my CV, yeah? So I see myself as a curious person, very curious person, and always ask sometimes stupid questions. I like to ask stupid questions to my promoters, to my supervisors, to all the colleagues, to everyone.
Must be traumatic to be a teacher of yours.
Yeah, sometimes because not every question can be answered.
Right.
But I'm also sometimes chaotic, sometimes organized person, depending on where I work. So that's myself. I'm a scientist, researcher in Belgium, and working around plastic waste recycling together with many European projects, also with the GRC, European Commission, is the research center for the Europe. Yeah, many other projects in Europe, and I'm based in Belgium.
Thank you, Irdanto. Dr. Nuwong Chollacoop, tell us a bit of yourself.
Hello. So as I think many people who know me, basically I'm just a friendly guy. You can talk to me with anything. I like to chit chat, and and beside my work, basically my personal for work is basically I like to do the implementation. So I don't fear for failing, because failing is part of my name. But if I fail, I get it fast and I try again.
I love that. Attaching your name with failure. Yeah, taking a risk. Well done. Last but not least, I would like to welcome Dr. Ching, please.
So I'm Chai from Malaysia. I'm Chai. My full name is Lase.
Dr. Chai, there's a bit of a buffer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Chai, so a lot of people know me for, as in Middle East, like Chai is tea. But I don't drink tea. I love coffee. So something if I go to Thailand a lot of time, for the first time, Chai is probably a man name, in.
Right.
So I'm an accidental. Never expect me to become a scientist. To become an. I love drawing, so I spent just one day, I just science, and I just wanted this. So up until today, a lot of my and in with a lot of arts, a lot. That's why I become a microbiologist, because you look under the microscope, so you draw out your bacteria. So that's what we do during that time. So perhaps nowadays for a lot of kids, is you use a handphone to take snap photo under the microscope. But during my time, it's drawing. You draw what you see.
Wow. You draw your own bacteria.
Yes.
I can't even figure out how a bacteria looks like. But anyway, well done. Once again, I would like to welcome each one of you in this conversation, and just a couple of guidance to our participants. Zoom, I'm sure you're expert in Zoom now, but if you do have anything that you like, you can use reactions. There's a button where to do that. You can put happy faces. You can also ask questions. So if you have any question that that triggers something on you, put on that, and then we will get back to them. All right. As Jen has mentioned, this is about giving practical tips and how to build a career internationally. Now, my first question, and I would like to address this to our two women scientists, because normally in societies where we are coming from, especially in Asia, women, they have certain stereotypes. There's certain ways the community look at you. Now, as women scientists, young professionals internationally, how did you get started in your career?
Started where?
Yeah, where? When did this this gut feeling in you, this fire in you started burning? Like, I wanted to get out. I wanted to be seen, not just in Thailand, in Malaysia. I wanted to be a part of the international community. Where is this? When does this thing come out from you? Was it since childhood, or was it in the university?
From me, it was from the movie. I watched the movie Jurassic Park when I was in the theater, and I think I watched it many times. I think over 200 times. And when I watch it, it's like, oh, it's so cool. I really want to be, you know, in the movie, there's a Dr. Grant. And I'm like, I want to be Dr. Grant. It's so cool. So, and yeah, that's my start.
From a movie, that's incredible. Yeah, movies, I mean, they speak millions of words and basically, and it triggers many emotions too. Dr. Chai, how about you?
Yeah, I think when Dr. JIBBY talk about, because I do also have, I really, really love, I've watched so many times, me to I want. So that movie is called Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Not sure. Yeah, it's something like when the daddy shrunk the kids, the kids so small. So I start to imagine in the world of Korea. So in their eyes, when we grow them in our this really triggered me that I want to microbiology. So that's really something, the way I see microorganism.
Right. Thank you both of you for sharing your story. The beginning of this spark, the eureka that we say in research. Yeah. Now I would like to welcome back our two men panelists here. When you were doing your studies in your own countries, even before moving outside, what did you hope the most? What motivated you the most to get out of the country and be a part of the international career movement? Was it for a position outside, or further studies maybe?
Okay.
Dr. Nuwong, you want to go again?
Okay, sure. So I think for me, I think my curiosity would bring me outside, just to open my perspective that, of course, as you know, if you study in the same place, in the same environment, then you basically know certain things of knowledge. But you go outside your comfort zone, or you go outside the box, or you even go outside the country, then you met other people with a perspective, and then I think you can hope to learn from a different point of view, because otherwise then you're gonna end up keep thinking in the same loop.
Right. You like to be challenged and also face other to go beyond your own comfort zone. That's very important. You get to know how much you can go. Irdanto, please.
I think what really drives me back then was I've heard a lot of good things about going abroad and study abroad when I was in the high school or in the university, and I really want to experience that, not just hear about the good stuff outside my country. So that was the trigger for me going abroad, and really to basically experience study abroad and traveling abroad. So I also have a self-motivation to travel abroad, just to do fun things and go to Europe and experience winter, which is not in the case in Indonesia. So that's really what triggers me to go abroad.
Fantastic. Now, I am quietly, I'm sure that that when you started to build your career internationally, a big chunk of that preparation is going through a university. You're right. Now we have so many students here who are currently in the university. What practical tips you want to give them in preparation for that, move internationally? Most of them, I guess, are in the undergraduate program, for example. What would you give to these young minds as a practical tips about building a career, a move internationally? Dr. JIBBY, you want to start from there?
I mean, for me, it was because I was studying in Thailand for my bachelor, and a lot of time we read paper on we read journal. We read a lot of this, and then you can see the name, the good scientists or people who publish and well known in the field. They are all in the internationally. They either in the US or in the Europe. So when during my bachelor, I would make a note of those names and maybe eventually kind of try to search for them and see how to get connected with them. So I think maybe that could be the starting point, that like you could make a little note that, okay, here, this is where you, because you read that paper, that means you're interested in their research. So it's like, then you can just slowly get into like, okay, what's going on in this field that you're interested in, and who are doing this, and then you could slowly find your way there. And then once you have the name, you have the country, then you can find a way to contact them and ultimately get there. That's my experience.
Fantastic. Irdanto, where did you find funding or information, basically? Where did you look for PhD positions? Where did you start?
Well, in Europe, there are many platforms where you can find. First, there are two different approaches where you apply for a promoter or a university, or you apply for directly to the position. And there are positions in Europe where you can apply for a certain project, and you can search in Euraccess, for example, or in other platforms. You can apply directly to the position, or the conventional way, you like Dr. JIBBY says, you can find a promoter and you apply for a PhD position. You show your interest, which is very important, and also a good motivation that really tells that you are passionate about the research. So there are two approaches in Europe. You can apply for the direct positions, or you can find a potential promoter and show your great determination, I would say.
Fantastic. And then Irdanto, I hope that you still remember some of those platforms. Maybe you can share them later on in the chat, and for our students to to immediately dive into them. Right now, I would like to ask Dr. Nuwong and Dr. Chai, for you, what would you consider as a value of international collaboration to career advancement? Because I've seen that you in your values, both of you have done that in many ways. So tell us your experience in the value of international collaboration when it comes to your career, please.
Yeah, probably Nuwong, you want to start first?
Okay, we're going to say lady first, but never mind. Anyway, I think for me, international collaboration is something that I think you get more friends. Like of course you have friend from friend in the family, friend in the school, friend in the office, in the work. But I think you get friend around the world. One thing which will be indirect benefits when you go travel, who to reach for when you want to get some tips and that. And also I think now globalization is make the world small. So whatever you cannot find solution within your country, maybe it's already available in other countries. And no point to reinvent the wheel. So you just apply it and also further build on your knowledge in there.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Nuwong.
I just like to add on, to what Nuwong has mentioned, I think friendship is one thing that's really, really very important, particularly in science, in research, particularly after some time you have been working on your own research a lot of time. So you need you always constantly need new ideas, new sparks, how to make things better, particularly when you come to a bottleneck. So you do not want to to keep yourself in one similar environment that actually will bore you, that will actually kill your passion. Yeah. So meeting people, talking to people a lot of time, it doesn't need to be something formal, like let us like, set up meetings, sit down and talk about my research or your research. It will be something like, let us like, discuss about some topic, like, even we could chat about coffee, chat about tea. And that will actually like, bring you into a new relationship, into new idea. So some new things probably will spark, yeah, why never I've thought about this? So this probably would be a new way, a new solution that would actually like, release me from like, the bottleneck. So that is like, the importance of international collaboration. People give you different perspective, like, to your local.
We're missing Dr. Chai for now, but we'll get back to her. JV, I have a follow-up question to you. I saw that you have, can you tell us about your fellowship on MSCA? And, many of young researchers basically in part of the world are very hesitant, a bit hesitant, to apply for such prestigious opportunities. How did you approach the competition?
I mean, this take, I've been preparing this for quite some years, because I didn't jump right into the MSCA, applying there directly, because first we need the host institute. So like I said, I started out with Euraccess, Science Slam, and then because of the Pixel Cry, won me the Science Slam ASEAN, and I get to join the conference, the Researcher Voice in Belgium. And then since I graduated from the US and I don't have any host institute, contact in Europe, so I asked Euraccess, can you connect me with some lab in Europe, preferably virology lab. So they connect me with Institut Pasteur. I visited Institut Pasteur. Then from then, so like I said, this is started in 2013. I apply for Marie Curie MSCA in 2015.
Right.
So this is a 3-year making. From then I get to have a host. No, let's see. I have a contact. Then I went to visit. Then we click. Then we sent fellowship for Fungo Thai fellowship. Then I was using. I won that, and then participated in that for 5 months. And then once I'm there at Institut Pasteur, I get to see what they have, what we have. Then we starting some preliminary study for another 10 months after the first 5 months. And that's the time I was developing the proposal for MSCA. So it's not, it looks scary because it's a big fellowship and it's a lot of competition, but it just, if you really want to apply for it, so you have to have like a game plan. So this is have planning in advance. You need to find a host institute, what research you can bring to Europe, and what the benefit sharing between Europe and ASEAN and Asia and your country. So this is, like I said, for me, this is 3 years in the making. So
fantastic. Thank you very much. I would like to ask to all our participants, if you have any questions, this is your opportunity now to put them on the chalks and the chat box, and then we will take them into consideration. There is one question for our panelists now from the floor. Hi panelists, as a young academic and a scholar, I am keen to know what are the best tips to find faculty positions, tenured track or research track, or a fellow for a PhD holder who has an index of 10. I have no idea what is that, but maybe this is something that you can clarify. Willing to expand more than what currently I am committed in teaching. Research-wise is impacted amidst COVID era now, limited accessibility. Can you please tell us any tips in getting any tenured position for a PhD holder? Anyone? This is
okay,
from.
I can try. I think the
Yes.
question is very technical, so I think I can imagine maybe myself like some 10, 20 years ago, like being frustrated, like how to start my career, you know, at the beginning, how to boost up my publication, how to get the H index up. I think and those will come, I would say, naturally, you know, once you get to have a passion on what you're working on. I think if you have a passion on what you're working on and you do good work, I think things will come, resources, recognition, and of course, you know, the easiest way to get connected to other, you know, well-known professors around the world is through the conference, because every time you go to a conference, you meet many well-known professors. And one thing that my advice is don't be shy, you know, just go and talk to them. This is what I'm working on, and I know your work, blah, 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 those things. And that can kick off the communication. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Another question here, for those who are interested in doing PhD, apparently in Europe, they always require someone, a professor in the university already or institute that you wanted to go to have, you know, to already have a, you know, a network. So they ask for a name, a position within the university itself. How did you go through that? Anyone who had an experience going through that? Like when you're applying for a PhD, and one of the requirements that you know that you need to have already a connection with a specific professor in the university where you want to do your PhD. How did you go through that? You just send an email saying, "Hi, hello, I saw your CV," or how do you actually do that? Pick up the phone?
I can try to answer that.
So, yes.
Yeah, it's very common that we start looking for a professor, and then first we have to build connection. And one of the ways is first to catch their attention that you are a passionate PhD candidate or PhD student. And then from there on, what we usually do is we build the research proposal together. So of course you have to build your own structure first, but along the way, when you try to find funding or money for your research, then you build your own research proposal basically together with your potential promoter. So that's, I think, how we start making a connection. But it's very common that out of the blue you email your potential promoter and then try to catch your attention first, and then we go from there on.
Fantastic. Now, when we were doing this quick survey about...
may I add one thing? I'm sorry.
Please go ahead.
I think one thing that I find very helpful is basically in your country, I think there are always an alumni association from that university, and that's always, for me, I use that as for example, my cousin coming to me and asking for, oh, do you know this professor in this university? I said, well, I don't know, but I could go and find out from the alumni in your country. I think they can help. Thank you.
Fantastic, Victor. Thank you so much for raising that. You know, in the Philippines, we have a very strong most of the former students or scholars of the European Union scholarship. We have a very strong alumni association in the Philippines, the Erasmus Mundus program. Those who are interested to do a master's in in Europe, including those who are still in the university. Now, let's talk about challenges. In your time in Europe, or when you were doing studies, or even now, as you know, as you are working, what has been the biggest challenge for you that you need to face in your journey as a researcher, as a young professional? Dr. Chai, you want to share yours?
Yeah, probably I could. Yeah, probably I could share. I hope my network is is okay. Yeah. So I think one of the biggest challenge, I think, for most of the early career researcher, particularly I draw from my own experience when I was younger, spending time overseas, that the first thing I met is cultural shock. There are differences, when you go out. So you need to be very open-minded and don't just close yourself, that things need to be in this way and I'm not flexible. So things need to be very flexible. And one of the biggest thing, like, advice I would give, like, before you go there. So really do some study about the culture, like, in the country that you are going there, so that to avoid, like, miscommunication, as well as, like, to avoid, like, or to reduce, like, this type of cultural shock that probably will pull you back quite a little bit. So you want to give yourself, like, some time to really adapt to the environment, and also, like, to learn the norms and the common things over there. Yeah, before, like, you really, like, force yourself, like, to be in. The second thing that I think that is very important, if you go to Europe, English speaking country, you might not have a problem, like, if you speak, like, English quite well, so you would be able to blend in quite easily, like, because you understand the language. Perhaps if you go to a country that do not speak the same language, so that will be something probably will give you a little bit more challenge. Europe, there's no problem. So I've experienced, like, went to Korea, stay there for a short-term attachment. So the inability to really communicate cause a lot of problem and a lot of issue, because you just can't understand each other that well, and that increase, like, your stress level, like, while staying over there. So you probably want to do a little bit of this, like, preparation. So if you go to a country, so it will be best, like, before you really go there, try to pick up a little bit of the language, the local language over there, so that will really ease you out a lot. Yeah.
Thank you, Chai. Dr. JIBBY, being in France, what was the most shocking for you when it talks about intercultural issues?
The most shocking would, it's not shocking, but yeah, it's just French, they tend to be packed, they in the group, it's hard to get into the group. That's the most challenging for me, especially I don't speak French. I mean, during work, yes, it's an international lab, so we speak English at work. But then in the personal level, to connect in that level, we need the language. So I definitely agree with Chai that language, it's definitely one of the challenge here. But come from the US, when you go to a bar or to a restaurant, you talk to the other table. But in France, they tend to be like, no, don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't, like, everybody's on it. I mean, maybe it's the Paris thing, but yeah, that's to me, it's like, oh, I feel like no one's very friendly here. The first few months it was kind of tough, but then I'm like, okay, I tough it out and just whatever, I'll just be myself, I'll say hi, I'll smile to people. So it's like Chai said, you need to adapt, you need to adapt. Yeah, open-minded.
Open-minded. Fantastic. Irdanto, how did you overcome some of those challenges that Chai and Dr. JIBBY has mentioned?
To overcome very good questions, because communication very often is the main barrier, and I think to overcome there is you have to learn local, how local live, how local eat, how local drink. You have to adapt, and
like that.
You come from the other part of the world, coming as a foreigner at first, so you have to be local. Try to be local, and then from there on, you can already see, this is how they communicate, because the way of people communicating is very different. Some people give very direct feedback. Some people give a very high context feedback where you can misinterpret if I'm doing right or am I doing wrong. Is this a feedback that gives positive impact or negative impact, or what should I do? So I think to adapt is very important, but you also try to be local is also a way to adapt, I would say.
Adaptation. That's very important too. Dr. Nuwong, now my question now is not the challenge of being in Europe, but did you have any challenge going back after your studies, to reintegrate in your own country, in the job market where you come from? Was there any challenge for you there?
Well, I think that would mean the reverse culture shock, right? There was I mentioned you go there, you got shocked once, you come back, you shocked twice. So maybe you get normal. But I think at least it's what has been similar to what Irdanto mentioned, adaptation. You have to be able to adapt not only with your own culture, but with a different generation and different perspective. And people, of course, now with disruptive technology, many things happen. I have to talk with the younger generation with a different language. Not mean a physical language like that. So there would be something that will come.
Fantastic, thank you. Now, the topic of the whole initiative is on climate change and on global health. Now, being a researcher, on the international, with the background internationally when it comes to your academic field, how are you contributing to these two global issues? And do you feel that that everything that you have invested, your time, your energy, your skill, is contributing to that? Can you tell us a bit more on that? Dr. JIBBY, we are in the middle of the pandemic. You are doing a research in one of the most important laboratories in the world, Louis Pasteur. Tell us a bit of that contribution you've got there. You're doing a specific research on the pandemic itself.
Yes, I was part of the team who were developing the vaccine using the mesovector platform for the COVID-19. Unfortunately, the vaccine is not successful in the clinical trial, but we're still continuing and hopefully it could become vaccine in the future, because particularly the mesovector is good for children. So during the pandemic, I mean, we work really hard. I don't know what can I say more, but I get to bike to work, so I reduce the carbon footprint.
Fantastic.
For a year to contribute to the global. And yes, then now we're continuing the research on the virus and how the virus is changing, adapting and mutating. So this is the part of us to contribute to the global problem.
Right. Dr. JIBBY, we are looking forward for more updates from you on this side of work, because we know that the pandemic is evolving in itself as well. Yeah. Thank you very much. Dr. Chai, you have received the L'Oreal UNESCO Award for Women in Science in Malaysia. I can imagine how that's a very prestigious award. And as a young woman researcher, can you please tell us, what has been your biggest contribution? I know that you are very focused on food security, on the food system. Tell us about your work in that.
Yeah, so I probably would like to share a little bit, my research, really focus on, addressing, the food security issue, particularly, whether if we have enough food to eat, not just enough food to eat, but, quality food, the food that will not cause diseases, the food that will actually, bring you health, but not just fill the stomach, as one of the basic requirements today compared to 20 years ago. You probably are talking about whether if you have enough to eat. So there has been a lot of changes and due to the condition change. So this is something that I've been working on, to look into the technology, to create technology for detection of pathogen in food, in water. So how to kill all of these microorganisms, bad one, in food, and increase the good one, and so on and so forth. So, but I think, talking about contribution, of course, our research, be it big contribution or small contribution, ultimately or collectively, all of us are working towards one similar goal, which is to address all this grand challenge that the humanity is facing nowadays. But as a scientist itself, I think what led me to these awards, like, it's actually scientists need to do way beyond, like, whatever we are doing nowadays in just focusing on our research. That's why, like, networking is very important. That's why collaboration internationally is very important, because we need to see the bigger picture, like, how we ourselves, like, could be part of this bigger picture to complete this big puzzle that we are working on. So other than the research, the technology that we are doing, so what are the other things that we could do? So science education, STEM education, looking into all of these problems. So you need to create a new generation, the next generation of scientists. So you need to inspire them. So this is one of the another bigger, I would say, duty or responsibility of the scientists today that we need to do, because, like, whatever we could do, it's probably up until here. So we need way more people to continue on the force that we do. Yeah. So that I feel that it's something that we have contributed. Probably Nuwong could add in also, like, so that's why we set up, we have been working very, very hard, like, to build up networks, to prepare and create platform for the next generation scientists, like, like under ASEAN, we have ASEAN Young Scientists Network. So there's a platform, like, actually to inspire and to provide opportunities for the younger scientists, like, to move on and to continue whatever previous, like, generation have done. So it's for sustainability.
Dr. Chai, those are very wise words from you, inspiring even. Dr. Nuwong, you've been asked to also contribute into this, but before you do that, I know that you've been working on sustainability and sustainable development, renewable energy, and I'm really impressed. You are a founding member of the Electric Vehicle Association of Thailand. I was in Norway, everybody's driving Tesla. Are we ready for that in Asia? Electric vehicles.
Right. I think that's just to add on what Chai has mentioned earlier, that we feel that we don't want to go through the hardship like what we went 10, 20 years ago. That's why the platform would be connecting many people, not only within ASEAN, but of course with the Europe as well. So for your question, I think if you ask if ASEAN is ready, then my answer is why not, right? If we are not ready, then what else we could do, right? Because the thing that, of course, 5 years ago, when my friend and I are talking that we should prepare for this electric vehicle trend coming. And of course, I've been working 10 years before that on basically internal combustion engine. So all my friends will look at me, especially in the industry, like, what, are you crazy? Are you off your mind? Are you trying to drive out the engine, the conventional engine, which is in Thailand? Because we have like 100,000 people working on there, and we have like 2 million cars being production, and more than 50% we export. My simple answer is that we can start to slowly adapting ourselves now before we being adapted without any preparation. So I think that's what I think, not only in the industry, not only in the research, but I don't need myself or as a human being, as a researcher. I think you should be able to try to find a way that how to get connected, how to build on your research. And because if you look at many famous professors, they're not only working in one area, right? But they have a principle of finding the answer to the unknown question, but they move around depending on the question that's being asked and the focus of the society. Thank you.
Fantastic. Irdanto, there is a question here about interdisciplinary approach in research. And I think this is also very linked to what Dr. Nuwong has just mentioned now, and the whole thematic aspect of what we're talking about, this collaboration among researchers. Can you tell us any tips that you would like to provide to any of our listeners here or participants about how can young researchers do interdisciplinary research? Like, for example, some of you are pretty strong in STEMs, that that those are very important. But how about, can you actually collaborate with social scientists, for example, as well in your work? Do you do that?
The answer is yes. You can collaborate with social or economic departments, like what I did. I collaborate with economic department and to some extent social impact assessment. And it's very, because like Dr. Chai said, the problem is very big, so that no one themselves can solve the problem themselves. So we have to collaborate. and the willingness and having an open-minded to collaborate with other departments is very important. And the willingness to learn is also important, because I myself, coming from engineering and science background, and to learn economics and social impact assessment is very, very different world. It's very difficult for me. So I would say that you have to be open-minded and willing to collaborate, and so that you can tackle the bigger problem. And it doesn't matter whether you make a big steps or small steps, as long as you keep moving forward and keep doing your research. I think you will always give impact to the society, to the climate change, regardless of the size of work that you are working on, regardless of the steps that you are making. And the willingness to collaborate and the willingness to learn is very important in interdisciplinary research, I would say.
Thank you, Irdanto. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are wrapping up this incredible panel with our 4 panelists here. But before we close and before I hand over the floor to our 2 colleagues, I would like to ask our 4 panelists any parting words you would like to give to our participants when it comes to building a career, anything that we have missed that that they need to know. This is your opportunity now to mention that, networking, where do you start? University, where should I focus? I don't even know what I'm gonna do. Once I get a career, and should I continue what I'm doing? And then is it an issue that when you study abroad, you stay there and you don't go back home? Brain drain. This is an issue that we are facing, and all, and we would like to ensure that everybody benefits, for that experience. Parting words. I'll start with Irdanto because you were the last.
I think I would give one advice: to be confident, because we are, as a foreigner coming to Europe, sometimes are lacking of confidence, but we need to be confident to the research that we are doing, and we have to be confident that we have a good knowledge of the research area that we are working on, so that people also acknowledge your ideas, and also people accept your sometimes wild ideas, of course.
Fantastic. I like that. Confidence from within. Dr. JIBBY, please.
So my advice would be to be yourself. I think because that will make you go for longer, because if you not being yourself, you cannot pretend for a long time. So like I tried to pretend to be not talkative because I could not speak French. I can't. So
that's heavy.
So just be yourself. And I think adaptability is important, but more important to be yourself.
Fantastic. Yeah, be authentic, be you. Awesome. Dr. Chai, please.
Yeah, probably what I want to say is that don't be a lone ranger. So open up. So you need network. Yeah. So there are a lot of opportunities out there, but you need to open your eyes and really go and grab, because the opportunity won't just come and knock at your door. So you need to go out there and look for it. So there are already platforms like Rex says, don't be shy, you could just write. So is there anything that there's an opportunity that I could actually apply? So there will be always opportunities.
Fantastic. Dr. Chai, I love that. Dr. Nuwong, please.
So my simple word is just do it. If you don't do it, you never know you're going to get success or not. If you're just afraid, then you already failed before even trying to start.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for our wonderful panelists. And just from my side, I've been in the UN for 16 years. And one thing that I observed, especially for some of us who are coming from, from other culture, we always do the double thing, we always try to, we are the minority, and as a minority within a society, you always have to do double work, But I really like what our young panelists have mentioned here. I also tried at some point, it's coping mechanism, I guess. But then in the end, you realize that, my goodness, to be a lone ranger, that's really mentally taxing, emotionally draining. And when I realized that, yes, indeed, learning some few words of Spanish and French, just to be a part of this larger community, it's important. Now, that's where I started to, to also share, who I am as a Filipino, in the international community, because I am unique to anyone. No, there will be like 600 Morse in the UN, but I can tell you I'm unique. Show your uniqueness. That's where you shine. Own it. That position that you have, you didn't end up there by accident, because you know that you've done your job. Yeah, you've done your job. So once you get there, own it, and you will shine. All right. So to our young researchers out there, and to our panelists here, can I ask you to leave your emails in the chat, if you don't mind, because I think we have many participants who would like to do follow-up. I doubt we covered not even maybe 1/3 of what we're supposed to talk, but really, I would like to encourage our participants to, now this is a part of your job. Our panelists have shared information. If you stop there, then that's that's the end of the story here. But I would really like you to follow up with them. And they have mentioned that they're a part of a bigger network. So, so now that you are here with them, you become a part of that bigger network. You can start with your access, from there immediately, the doors will open to you. So
Absolutely. I think I'm frozen, or I'm not sure. I think I'm the second one after after Chai that just sat there and then like you're not moving anymore. So this is a reality. We don't know what kind of bandwidth we have from time to time. But Morse, thank you so much for that. That was a fitting end to this afternoon. But of course, Nuwong, Irdanto, JIBBY, Chai, that was excellent. Thank you so much. Everybody is really inspired. And yeah, it's true. Sometimes we have this imposter syndrome, right? When we are abroad. But I think, and all of you gave like the perfect advice. Just be yourself, believe in yourself. And while I share to you the page of our next, because this is not over. This is we're just getting started. And we want to share with you some other opportunities. So please, Susan.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. I lost you there for a minute. I'm not entirely sure what you said, but oops, yes, but indeed, there are all these networks out there that you can join in, and it was already mentioned that Euraccess, I think, should be your first port of call. Jenny is sharing here our program for the rest of this event, and we have, and I think that's particularly important, we have these career development workshops lined up for you between the 6th and the 14th of December. So we have these really highly successful researchers. They're part of the Marie Curie Alumni Association that JIBBY and Jenny are part of themselves, and they share their advice, how to get published, how to create your career, science diplomacy, mental health, which is extremely important. So lots of tools that some of you are asking in the chat, how do I polish my CV and make myself more relevant? But I wanted to once again remind you that indeed, as we've had, Euraccess is there. Euraccess is this community of, over 100,000 researchers, not just in Europe, but in ASEAN, in China, in Japan, in Korea, etc. It's really a great opportunity for you to plug right in. You have an opportunity to sign up to Euraccess. So it's basically you put down your CV and just a few keywords, and you can make an offer, what you're interested in collaborating with other partners. And this is how you increase your visibility, especially as an early career researchers. But on top of that, and I've shared that in the chat, we have just created a LinkedIn group, because in the previous sessions, we realized there's so many of you with very concrete proposals. You're saying, this is my work, this is where I'm from, I'm looking for partners. We created this LinkedIn group, and I can share the website just one more time in the chat group just now. So we really like to invite you to sign up there. And this is a platform where you can put down your offers for collaboration or your requests for collaboration. So we hope that we'll see you there. But just to wrap it up, as we said, we are here as your interlocutors. Just reach out to us. Make use of the Euraxis network that's readily available. And as Morse said, you have the contact details now. You have all the information. So now you have to run with it and create your own destiny. Right. So that's from me. Jenny, if you want to do us the honor for the closing words.
Yes, thank you so much to everyone. Please do keep in touch with us. Follow our social media accounts. We are on Twitter. We are on LinkedIn. We are on Facebook. And yeah, the only thing that we don't have is TikTok. I'm thinking about that, actually. It's just not, maybe with all of these she's saying. I'm saying, I mean, we have a rapper here already, so we can start with that. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us wherever you are in the world. This is Euraxis ASEAN. Please again join us for the European Research and Innovation Days in ASEAN 2021. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you. Shout out to my students at Polytechnic University of the Philippines. Thank you for joining us. And
hello,
to our colleagues from Indonesia and Malaysia, and Kapan Makap to our colleagues from Thailand. Maraming salamat ulit.
Terima kasih. Bye, everyone. Salut.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Au revoir. À bientôt.